Back to High Heels to Happy Feels. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Stephanie.
So I have been home from Montana for a few days now. I was up at Steph's house, but I keep finding myself back at that weekend. And honestly, it's not because of the readings, even though we had a lot of them and a few of them were really incredible, but it's really everything else that happened around them. And for anyone who doesn't know, every summer, Steph and I go up to the Fairy Arts Festival in Montana, or the Fairy Festival. And it's in, I think it's Flathead Valley. Stephanie can correct me.
Hmm.
But we run a booth there and we do psychic and astrology readings. And so for 2 full days, we get this strange vantage point. We're not just like wandering around the festivals for ourselves. We're kind of sitting in the middle of it, watching everyone else come and go. And somewhere in the middle of the weekend, I realized that people had become more interesting to me than almost anything else there this time.
Oh my gosh, same. You start noticing things like after just a few hours, right? Of sitting and watching how people are moving through the place. And because we stayed out there too. So this we stay at the fairgrounds because I mean I have a camper, we might as well take advantage of it.
For
So
real.
you also have the night action going on, right? With our little neighbors in a little brouhaha that one night, for example. But just what people are lingering on as they shop, what booths they're hanging out, and what they ask before. It's not even about the price, but just some of the curious questions people had.
Right? And here's what struck me is it was hot. Like it
Really
was
hot
smoky
and
and
windy.
really, oh my God.
Uh-huh.
And people had been on their feet for hours and everyone's carrying bags and trinkets and their hair's drooping in their face and they're tired and there's lines everywhere. And almost nothing about the day was convenient. And nobody looked like they wanted to rush through it. Like it wasn't just a task. And they were just hanging out, sitting in chairs, watching the aerial folks that were, because I love our spot every year and we are blessed to have that spot next to
Yes,
the
we
aerial folks.
are. Yeah,
But we get to see people just hanging out, watching things happen, watching artists paint for 20 straight minutes, or standing at the booth of the door, talking to vendors or talking to us like they did, whether they buy anything or not. It made me realize that this really isn't how most of us spend a weekend anymore.
oh, it's so true. And the funny thing is, I mean, almost everything that people were buying, I would say all of it, they could buy online in about 90 seconds.
Exactly. Which is what got me. So the real question isn't what people were buying, is like, were they actually leaving their house for? Because I don't think it was the crystals or the artwork or the books or all the trinkets. I think, something really else is happening. And that's really where I think this whole conversation started.
Agreed. And it's worth saying, right? Because it's so easy to lose sight of. It's so easy.
Mhm.
Our lives are unbelievably convenient. And it's not bad. I mean, it's not in a bad way. It's just a fact. And we we have gotten so used to it. We don't wake up shocked at the fact that we have hot water or GPS in our vehicles, that give us audio directions at the same time, or air conditioning our homes, or groceries that show up at our door. I mean, hello, that's in a huge way. That is totally me, as you know. I mean, I've had 4 deliveries already today, or the fact that we can ask AI almost anything on demand before we've even formulated the thought in our head, before it's even, and
Mhm.
all those things have become so normal for us that we've just stopped registering them as anything at all.
Well, we mostly notice them the moment they stop working. Like
Oh, right?
the internet goes down for 20 minutes at my house, and oh my God, my kids.
Uh-huh.
It is an all-out emergency, like call 911. Or you were talking about delivery, like if shipping takes 4 days instead of two because you're a Prime member, or they haven't delivered your groceries in the convenient 30 minutes in which you feel personally wronged about it, or your phone battery dies at 40% and you just spiral out. It's not like it's just become so easy. And I'm not doing a whole episode like about how everything was better before. It wasn't. Information is easier and travel is easier and we stay connected to people we love in ways that used to not be possible. None of that's the problem.
Right. I think the part I keep coming back to with all of this is that our expectations have really shifted
Hmm.
without us ever necessarily agreeing to it per se. It's just waiting used to be baked into life. I mean, I remember waiting overnight for concert tickets, right? Waiting for your photos to
Oh,
develop. You had to
yeah.
drop off the film and then you could come back and pick it up in a week. It was not a digital thing you looked at on your phone right away. Um, Waiting a week for your TV show. There was no episode drops and the whole season's out there at one time. It was like, oh,
Or the
I gotta
CD
wait or
that
the
we
season. Yeah,
the
right. You have to,
CDs that we used to
oh,
here you can get 7 CDs for a penny, and then you'd
oh
have
my,
to fill it out and send
yeah.
it.
Oh my God. Oh,
Uh,
those were hysterical. BMG or something like that, right? Yeah. And then you'd send that in and you'd wait for your 7 CDs to show up. And then you had to order one a month for a certain amount of months, right? And now if anything takes longer than we expect, it's
mhm.
like, I mean, something doesn't run fast enough on the internet. Our page won't load and we're freaked out about it. Like, what's going on? What's wrong with their site? What's wrong with your patients?
Right.
What's wrong with us? It's almost like everything has become a malfunction. If it doesn't happen right now, in this instant, it's not working right.
Which I think that's the point of that like trying to highlight. It makes the weekend we just had kind of remarkable in hindsight because nobody seemed to be bothered by any of the inconvenience. Like people chose walking. They chose the heat. They chose the smoke we were bathed in from the fires in the surrounding areas. Just though wandering around, nobody was trying to optimize their way through the weekend. They were just in it.
Yeah.
And the more I sit with it, the more the weekend doesn't actually make sense if comfort is the goal. Because we complain about parking too far from stores, and yet people spent 2 full days walking around in 90 plus degree heat, carrying everything they bought and standing in lines, and just nobody looked annoyed by it. Nobody was trying to get in and get out either. People just wandered around and they stopped because they heard music, or we ended up in conversations. And you just wander through all of the completely different booths because something caught their eye in some way.
Yeah. And I watched the same, I mean, as we both did, of people showing up at our booth, right? Or at
Mhm.
our tent, because we have such a beautiful little
We
awesome
do have
Zen
amazing
space.
things.
We have a great spot. But normally people are doing a watch check, right? They're thinking about the next thing on their list. Even if they're at the grocery store or they're actually out doing all these things and not having it delivered to their door, it's like, okay, I got to get to the next spot. I got to get to this. And you're thinking about what's next. And this weekend, we'd finish a reading with somebody and it would go over 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We are historically and unfortunately well known for going well over anyway, which lucky you if you're a paying customer, right? But we love to share. But in
Right.
this case, it's like the conversation was about everything with everybody. They just wanted to be in a conversation. They just wanted to be in a comfortable environment. Everyone just wanted to share. So they'd come back a second time. I had people come back the next day and tell me about things that had happened or that had come to them from the reading the night before and give me all the details and get hugs. And it was so personable,
It
right?
really was. It really
Yeah.
was. And it was interesting because it wasn't just us either. I'd watch someone like pick up a piece of artwork and still be standing there 5 minutes later, like deep in the conversation with the artist.
Yeah.
Not, I don't think they're deciding on whether they're going to buy it anymore. I think they're just interested in like, how long have you been doing this? Or did you make this yourself? Or how did you learn to do this? And it became kind of a part of what they were taking home, the experience, not just the object.
Which makes sense, right?
Hmm.
Because when you buy something on your phone, you know nothing. It's a click. And all you do is know if you want to give it 5 stars or if it was junk. And this weekend, you actually are meeting people. So you're hearing a story about how they made the craft and, or, or how they came to be there or how they, and it goes both ways. I mean, it's just as fascinating for us to learn about all the people that we're talking to. But nobody was trying to squeeze anything into it, right? It was that thread of that conversation and the connection for 2 days, the festival was the schedule, Flathead Faerie Festival, and it was at the fairgrounds. And that was it. And so many people came both days. I was
Yeah.
amazed how many people were repeat that would come through again because they got to dress up. They got to be a part of the spirit. You got to feel the energy, and everyone was kind and it the festival was the schedule. And that's so rare in our lives, in our ordinary everyday existence. Hey there. Every week, Natalie and I talk about our soul pillars on our High Heels to Happy Feels episodes. I would highly encourage you head to immersivespirit.com/soul pillars and check out these free tools. There's different things you can download to learn more about interacting with your body, heart, mind, and spirit, and how easy it is to develop your intuition, even at a much higher level with these free tools. We've loved creating them. We really hope you'll take advantage of them. They are free. Immersivespirit.com/soul pillars. And now back to high heels to happy feels.
It really has made me notice how much of our normal week is just one thing that bleeds into the next.
Oh
Like
God.
your meetings and your errands and the projects that we do and the dinner we need to make. And then we just repeat it. And then this weekend, there wasn't really anywhere else that people needed to be. So they could actually stay where they already were. And honestly, I don't think people came um, for the connection. I think they came because they wanted a crystal. And
Yeah. And then they left with a connection.
right.
I mean
Yeah.
they came knowing, and I'm following you, right? Because they came knowing that they were going to find these conversations and these pieces. They just didn't know how in depth it was going to get. And I think that word is really presence because
Yeah.
people were fully there, they were fully engaged. And I mean, conversations just went on and on and on. And nothing,
Yeah, they did.
other times it was like, we seriously have a line, we have people waiting, and we're really sorry to break this up, but come back by when we're not, and we'd love to have. And it's a constant conversation. And it's so rare even with the, I mean, and we just don't even do that even with the people that matter to us most, right? We sit in the rooms and we work because, like you said, it rolls over from day to day to day. And yeah.
Yeah, it's I think you and I were kind of talking about this and like you live inside your world and you live inside of what's normal for you and
Hmm.
when you get out and experience that other things around um like seeing what everybody else's normal is and meeting people outside of your bubble and like experiencing life in a different way. I mean, there's another piece that kind of keeps nagging me about this weekend because so much of our lives is built entirely around us helping us find exactly what we're already looking for. Like if you need a recipe, you mentioned this. If you need something, you just search it up or you ask AI and it just comes back in seconds and everything downstream just kind of shows up the same way. You look at a pair of shoes and suddenly every ad has you looking for at those shoes. You play one song and then your whole playlist reorganizes around it. It's like the whole algorithm sucks you in.
Right. Which is genuinely impressive from a technology perspective. I'm not
Yeah.
knocking that part, although they could lay off the advertising and the algorithms. I'm sorry, but just piss off on that one. It is so annoying. But I think that the trade-off is that there are a few really, we don't have a lot of surprises anymore, right? There's no, I mean, unless we are sending something to somebody as a surprise or having surprise parties or going someplace to surprise people, we just move through our day. And what the festival really did for us is we didn't have a plan. I mean, we had a plan in terms of what we wanted to accomplish, and we sat and we
Right.
waited, but you can't plan the outcome. You can't plan exactly how it's going to go. And the people that were there knew they were going, but they couldn't really plan out their day because they didn't know exactly what was going to be there. So you turn a corner and you hear music, or you see the aerial dancers and the ribbon, they're on ribbons and hoops and they're just beautiful. And you see, you've got all these wood carvings, or you overhear a conversation, or you're standing in line at one of the fabulous food trucks, right? Next thing you know, you're talking to another customer, another vendor, whatever it might be. But you are discovering things you hadn't been searching for to begin with in those conversations. And I mean, things that you just didn't even know existed that we were finding out there from having those conversations.
And that's genuinely my favorite part of the whole weekend. Every year, leaving with things I never planned on encountering. And it made me wonder how often that still happens in ordinary life. Like, Not because life isn't interesting, but because we've gotten so efficient at getting exactly what we came for, and we've stopped leaving room for experiences or anything else, really. Even when we travel now, we've got an itinerary, the reservation, the review, the map. We basically know what the experience is going to include before we've even had it.
God, that's so true. And this weekend reminded me a lot of that of the time. The best part of the day is the very thing you didn't plan for, or the conversation that you just didn't expect to have with somebody, right? Um, Discovery, I mean, maybe discovery isn't really about searching harder because it does require leaving space for things to happen. I mean, I think from a perspective like that, I've got Sturgis coming up next weekend. Yeah, we've been multiple times over the decades, but it's, you still don't know what you're going to get when you get there. It's still an
Yeah,
adventure.
that's a very true thing. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And I will be doing lots of different things from Sturgis, so I hope everybody's going to follow along. It'll be fun. But thinking
Yeah.
about this, looking ahead too, because when I look at the week's transits and get ready for the astrological podcast, I keep feeling like the sky is just, you know, asking us continually with where we've landed. What are we actually noticing right now?
I felt that too, honestly. It didn't feel like a separate conversation with everything that we just talked about. It just felt like another angle of it.
Yeah. Because after everything July has thrown at people, I mean, which was a lot, it really was. This one feels
Really.
a little bit like a breath. But one of the biggest things on the board is Chiron stationing retrograde in Taurus, at least for this week, right? We have multiple, this is eclipse season. We got two of them this month. We had our lunar node shift on us, which brings the eclipse season. So there's a whole lot of things different happening in August. But in this particular week, Chiron's not going to do loud. It does quiet. It does the uncomfortable questions. It's that wounded healer. And Taurus keeps things really simple and grounded. So it's going to actually help me feel secure. And what helps me feel grounded, what pace I'm trying to keep up with, maybe that's not mine. So nobody at that festival seemed obsessed with beating a clock, right? Like we talked about. People
Mm-hmm.
just settled in. And that is really what Taurus energy is all about, is how you settle in.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It
And then
does.
we've got our last quarter moon, also in Taurus, which always has that ending quality to it. So it's not adding something new, but it's looking at what's already there and asking what served its purpose. It's not uh overly, I hate to say dramatic because it's so overused, but it's not a dramatic ending. It's more like just making a little space, clearing that little space before that next chapter starts. And honestly, that tracks with everything we've been circling right now and today in our conversation, because maybe the wonder part of that doesn't come from adding another experience to our pile. It really comes from removing and getting all the noise out of the way first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So moving on, we also have Venus moving into Libra this week. Venus loves being in Libra. It's comfy there, right? Because of the balance. It's relationships, beauty, art, good convos. It's a general appetite for that balance. And all that becomes a little easier to notice with this. So, which again, it felt like our entire weekend behind us with last weekend. So, because no one was checking boxes, people were just appreciating things. They weren't trying to make everything equal out. People were just listening and watching and being kind to each other and empathetic to each other. They'd given themselves permission to actually enjoy where they were.
I think that is like a key for what the weekend really felt like. People were just there.
Yeah. And just
Yeah,
enjoying, just giving themselves permission to just be joyful. I
yeah.
mean,
It
the
was awesome.
dancing and the little kids, oh, the little kids were like the highlight because they were so special. All these, I mean, I would say any little kid from like 10 years old down was just gracious, fantastic. I don't know what it was, if it was because of the energy there, but God, it just felt so good.
Oh,
And
me and the little crystal girl, I would say she's probably a little older than 10, but yeah, the kids were amazing.
oh,
Kids
they
can teach
were
us so much about how to be present.
uh, really, they can. They
Hmm.
can, and how to see things differently, how to just open your eyes, right? And not see things through a lens of your clock, of your list of all these things. They just look at it and go, "Did you see the butterfly? Oh."
Although way too many kids have learned how to manifest through tantrums.
Yeah,
I get
that's
what I want when I'm screaming the loudest.
right. That is an episode for another time around manifestation and how not to do it.
Right. Right.
Or
Scream
how to
loud
do
until
it
mom pays
perfectly if you would.
attention. I'll get that crystal.
Oh my God. All right, one more. So we've got Mercury because it's cleared its the retrograde shadow, right? So we it lingers in that shadow after it's gone, after it's out of retrograde, but it lingers around that and it's out of that shadow. So doesn't mean everything just suddenly went, oh, communication's back to normal, but it does mean that our conversations feel clearer. Um, and you don't feel like you're retracing your steps over and over again. So my very favorite, the Sun in Leo, is forming a trine to Saturn, so which is retrograde in Aries. Leo wants to enjoy things. It's creative. It's bold, right? Saturn wants you to build something real, and a trine means these two aren't fighting this week, so you can enjoy the process, staying disciplined at the same time, which is fabulous, right? So
Oh,
create, build. It's like get into that energy. Every artist and musician that we watched was living proof of this last weekend. And so it's really coming into fruition this week. So nothing about what they're doing has happened overnight. It became beautiful because they kept showing up for it. And that's what we need to do. So if I really had to sum up the whole week, I'd say it's an invitation to just slow down, but just enough to notice what already matters because we can't escape our modern life. It's here.
no.
We got to deal with it. I mean, that's just the facts, Jack. Don't wish things are different. They're not. It's our lives. But it's a reminder that what we need most still happens at a human pace and to not have to do all the fast stuff all the time.
I think that that is like the whole key to the episode. Like just slow down enough to realize what we're missing is what we're missing because we're living in an algorithm that's served us for everything we want to know. And our friends tell us like you typically aren't arguing with your friends. You kind of all have that same maybe moral or value compass that you kind of all share. So nobody's really challenging your beliefs or but to sit down and just slow down enough to notice that there's a world completely outside of your bubble and to,
Yes.
step out of it a little bit.
And it's funny, I was listening to it on another, and it's a little off topic because it really, the energy feels so much going into the soul pillars, but we'll get there in a second. Because I was listening to, and this is very philosophical, but reminding yourself that you are nobody because everybody is somebody. You are nobody better than anybody else. You are unique, you're special. The lunar nodes, which I'll talk about in another space, another time, but with the North Node in Aquarius, we're the collective. So everyone is human, everyone has this energy, everyone has this power and this magnificent thing, and each one of us brings something individual to the table, making us nobody and everybody. How's that
Yeah,
for you?
we all shine our own light. We all become part of the star.
Yeah, yeah. So this ultimately, as I think about this in terms of soul pillars, because this entire conversation isn't just really about the festival, right? It's about us. What are we actually bringing when we turn everything in toward our own lives?
Yeah, so starting with the mind, which is where we build our habits and our expectations and the stories we tell ourselves about how life is supposed to work. What I kept sitting with this week was whether I've become so focused on getting where I'm going that I have forgotten how to wonder. And I actually met with a friend yesterday, and we were talking this through, and she's a great healing coach. And we were talking about how do you find your fun and how do you find your wonder? And it's not because wondering is more productive. It's just that sometimes curiosity takes you somewhere that you've never planned to go. And I think there's a lot of value to that.
I love that. And it's true because that's really what the festival did, right? It just gets you
Mhm.
out of your own way so that you can see more and go, I would have never thought of that approach. I never would have thought of that. And all of a sudden you have a whole new plethora of ideas, right? And yeah, I mean, the mind likes certainty. It likes a plan.
Yeah.
It likes knowing where it's headed, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the growth This doesn't always come from just finding that right answer. I mean, that's not what it's about. Sometimes it comes from willing to ask a different question. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So sit with these if they're useful. Where has efficiency quietly become more important to you than curiosity? And these we pre-wrote. When was the last time you discovered something you weren't even looking for? And is there a part of your life that could use a little more room to explore?
And I still think they're great questions. I know we pre-wrote and we thought through that, but yeah, I think they're
I do
great.
too. I do too. I think they're great questions. Yep.
All right, so the body is next.
Okay.
And this one I think is pretty simple because the body is our actual experience, not what we think about. Like everyone's body was having the same weekend. It was hot and tired, and lots of people were there for hours and hours, and some screaming kids, but some beautiful things too. But nobody seemed resentful of it.
No.
Almost like, well, I don't know. I saw my grandpa in a couple of faces, like
Well, not very
sitting there
many though.
going, I
And it
want to
was
go
more the
home.
vendors who were having to hold down their gear in their tent and watch stuff fly around than it was anything else, right?
Right, right. But outside, but almost like people had silently agreed and the body was just part of that experience, not an inconvenience to it. You can't hear live music through your feet. You can't smell food cooking from the couch. I mean, you
Yeah,
get that face-to-face conversation is not going to happen with a ton of convenience,
right.
right?
I think that's so true. With Chiron turning retrograde in Taurus this week, this is a great place to ask yourself what pace is your body actually asking for? Because I mean, it
Hmm.
just is, right? What
Yeah.
helps you feel grounded right now? Where have you been pushing through instead of paying attention?
Yeah, I think those are, again, I think those are great questions. Or, so, yeah, that
Yeah,
will serve us well to work through that.
they're legit, right? Chiron and
Hmm.
Taurus. I mean, it's a
It's a
Chiron's always
thing.
Chiron's always work. Taurus is always work, but I mean, all of it is work. It's what we do. That's how we grow. I mean, that's what it's about, is how we're growing and how we evolve. So let's move the heart. Heart is where your relationships live. So this is not just our romantic relationships, right? And I think everybody here knows that we say that all the time, but I really want to be, this is all of our relationships. It's every connection. It's every place you feel like you belong someplace. And so many of the conversations during that weekend just didn't need to happen. People stayed anyway. They
Hmm.
talked, they laughed, they told stories that had nothing. I mean, and we mean absolutely nothing
Nothing.
with why they'd walked up to the booth in the first place. Um, eh, and and every single one of those conversations still mattered. And they spent 5 and 10 and 20 minutes. And sometimes it's not about belonging and finding your forever community. It's just it's empathy and it's recognizing other people and then looking at people that do think like you do. So you ask yourself things like that, where do I actually feel the connection? Where am I feeling that? What communities are making me feel like myself? And I would say, ask yourself, what's the last time you stayed in a conversation a little longer than you had to?
I think that's really important because I think that's that stretching part we were talking about, right? Where you get out of that bubble, you can find community and other faces that don't maybe think exactly like you do, but you can have those conversations and you can really get lost in, those the philosophical things or just the good conversation that you fall into when you trust somebody.
Yeah. And I think, you brought up something when we were talking about this episode a little bit, that with just how we learn and what we absorb. So watching different news channels, for example,
Hmm.
and how it keeps your empathy by saying, okay, I'm going to get outside of my zone and I'm going to go watch the other guy. And you'll go watch it and go, God, people believe this, right? But then at the same time, you can see how easy it is for people to get sucked in because they would watch maybe our channels and think the same thing. So, but that's where the empathy comes from and that's where the growth comes from, because you're opening your mind and your heart, your body, I mean, all of it, to just absorb. And in areas like the festival or like Sturgis, where I'll be at next week, it's a common style of community that's all hanging out together. So it makes it super powerful, super energetic, super easy to just smile a lot and have conversations with rando people that you would never normally have conversations with, or you don't think you would. But life is
Right.
giving you this circumstance to sit and now have these great conversations with total strangers. And I think that is just, I think it's so off the
Beautiful.
charts.
It
Yeah.
really is beautiful. Well, yeah, because we spend so much time mirroring ourselves and our friends, and when you find a commonality, and maybe that's the only commonality you have with that person, then you get to experience their life from their perspective, and
Yes.
perspective is awesome.
Absolutely. Could not
All
agree.
right, so now we're on spirit because
Yeah.
we can really spin out
Yeah, we
on
can.
Fox and MSN.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, we could.
so and spirit. Okay, so I think spirit kind of gets treated like it only shows up in the extraordinary moments, but it's just as present in the ordinary ones. Like nothing magical had to happen for that weekend to kind of stay with me the way that it has. Just so much so that we're podcasting about it. It wasn't one reading or one conversation or one big moment. It was just paying attention. And I think that's where spirit actually tends to show up. Not because life suddenly turns profound, but because we finally get present enough to notice it. So this week, maybe just ask, where do I naturally experience that kind of wonder? And what actually helps me become fully present? Like, what moments have I been moving too fast to notice lately? And I guarantee if you ask yourself that last question, what moments have I been moving too fast to notice lately? You will probably, a better question is probably, where do I move slow enough to actually live? Because we all move fast with all of the conveniences we have. Steph and I podcasted on that. Was it last week or the week? Oh, we missed last week because we were at the Fairy Festival.
Yes, we did. Whoops, sorry.
But we talked about how we optimize our lives and everything is so fast and all for purpose,
Hmm.
but maybe not our purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
We aren't noticing and living in those moments. I mean, even though we all talk about being present and I'm present and be present and ground and do all these things, and yet we immediately revert to the list. We immediately revert to, okay, I'll do that as soon as I'm done
Yeah.
making dinner, getting the laundry done, hitting the store, doing this, doing this, doing this. Oh, and I didn't get a workout in, and oh, I need to walk the dogs, and oh, I need, okay, all right. And then I'm going to sit down and make a phone call and just be present and listen to that phone call. So,
Right. Or I'm going to go pick up my meditations book by somebody who rewrote for Aurelius. Anybody can correct me on however that's pronounced. An older philosophical thing, like just stopping and taking time to actually do it.
yeah, I love
Slow
that.
down. Slow down, people.
Slow down. Remember that song? I think it was on, was it Sesame Street? No. It was one of those, it was those channels of slow
Slow
down,
down. You
you
move
move
too
too
fast.
fast. You gotta make the moment
Moment
last. You
last. Yep.
gotta. And then there's something about we're feeling groovy.
Oh my God, we're
We're
gonna
gonna have
have
to
to
look
find
that up.
that, put it in the
My
show notes.
God. Oh, there's your flashback for the day.
It's funny because when we sat down to talk through this and plan this kind of out, I thought really we were going to talk a lot about convenience and what we're still willing to leave home for, like technology and all of that. And we did a little bit, but somewhere along the way, the conversation kind of became about wonder, like not the big once in a lifetime kind, but the kind that is in the ordinary moments, I guess, waiting for us to actually notice them.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, it's a nicer way to land than where we thought we'd end up. That's for sure.
Right.
Right? Yeah, because wonder is something it isn't something you really get to go find. It's something that you just make room for and go do, right? I think about that sticker on my camper that says, not all who wander are lost. Wander, wonder, ain't that far of a
Right.
stretch? Yeah.
It's not, there's a lot of things in your camper that made me feel all light and
Cushy.
airy.
I know they're fun. It's so fun. I'm being it
She
for
has
10
so
days.
many sayings hanging in her camper. And like we said, we spent that weekend camping on
Yep.
the fairgrounds, which was super fun. And the neighbors made it interesting.
They made it colorful.
Yeah, okay, so let's wrap this up.
Yep, wrap it up.
If this one hit for you, send it immediately to the person who's like, oh, that is so me. Share it with them because you know exactly who that is and who needs to hear this.
Yeah, you do. And if you want somewhere to actually sit with these questions instead of just letting them float after this episode ends, grab your soul pillars. Immersive spirit / soul pillars. Go grab it. You want you want to have those soul pillars. They are so awesome. They are such a great guide for helping you ground, helping you find connection, helping you to do those things. Wow, my light timed out or went out. I don't know, whichever. Hello. We're in the dark, but head over to Soul Pillar,
Technology. Did you see how the technology is like, watch this. We're going to bring this back around.
right? We're going to go ahead and go like this and go, and she's out.
Let me talk about
Okay.
this convenience for you.
Uh-huh. Uh, talk about needing plugged in and charged. Hello.
That's
Hello. At least
good
I know
stuff.
what it is. Yes. So head there. And also, you want to go even deeper? Town Square. Our community rocks. We have such a kick butt, I'm being polite, community. And it's free for 30 days. Like tonight, we have group Reiki. Tomorrow, we have our intuitive development series, which is on what? Echo? What tomorrow?
We are working through, yeah, Echo, like a little hint of paranormal remote viewing type
That's right.
stuff. It's going to
Paranormal
be so
remote
much
viewing
fun.
combined kind of thing. So
Yeah, it's going to be so much
that
fun.
is immersive-spirit.com, but you can get there right directly from our website. So
Well, and Steph and I are currently working through the feedback from our first cohort from our intuitive operating system, which was, I think, a really great success. But we're taking
great.
that feedback and we're making some updates, and we're going to have another cohort opening in October, I think we landed.
October. Yep, we're gonna have
Yeah,
it in October. We
that'll
will
be
for sure.
so we'll have a wait list out shortly if we like maybe by the end of the day or maybe by the end of next weekend. Who knows? It'll be out there shortly. Get on the wait list.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Because that wait list is basically saying, yep, I'm interested. I want a discount. Right? If you're on
Right.
that, you're on the wait list, you get a little bit of an early bird type special. You don't have to be a senior citizen to get early bird specials, you know.
Nope, no blue hairs here. You can be. We will have you. But just really quickly, and I shouldn't, I'm not going to drone on. I'm going to speak directly. Intuitive operating system, some of the feedback we've gotten is it's very good at foundational as well as growing. So if you guys listen to this and you're like, I kind of see myself in what those girls talk about, or when they talk about psychic and they talk about astrology and they all of those little neat nuggets are part of iOS.
Yes.
So really, you should check it out.
And you're right, because one of the best comments I think, and one of my favorites so far, is that with all the other instructors and things out there, this set a foundation of how.
Yeah. It
Be-
was it
because
was powerful to hear that. It
yes,
felt
the
good.
tools and just you gave me a baseline of how with options so that if one way is not working for you, you got this. Try this. Did you go do this? Did you do this? With 130 odd page workbook to go with it. So if you're not getting into iOS, you go jump on that. It's intuitiveoperating system.com. You should be able to get to the wait list now. If you have any problems, there's an email below.
Maybe.
Let us know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What else? Anything? Think we're good. Immersivespirit.com, intuitiveoperating system.com, immersive-spirit.com. Everything you can get to from immersivespirit.com.
You can find us anywhere on your socials, anywhere online.
Anywhere on your socials. And thank you for your YouTube. I mean, we are over 36,000. We are
And
freaking
loving it. You guys are
over the
awesome.
moon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Help us get to 50 now. Let's be greedy. All right. We're done. So from high heels to happy feels, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Natalie.
Have a fantastic week ahead, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.